jug, where the drink stays spittin'. Views going wild like a monkey gone rogue, running his own lane in a circus of smoke. Guido hit the eject, dipped out the scene. Jimmy steered the chaos, kept it lean and mean. No co-pilot needed. He thrives in the clash. Controversies, the stash. Raking views with a dash. Madness on the mic, sipping truth like it's gin. Every episode's a fight. Who's the champ of the spin? Randoms on the stool, spill tales from the void. Jimmy plays the villain, but the people stay buoyed. Solo flight, no wingman, just the heat. Questions unscripted, got him squirming in the seat. Joe Rogan whispers, but Jimmy got roar. Clickbait machetes hacking straight to the core. Bar feels alive when the topics get steamy.
All right. Today's special guest is our own hometown, Jason Lawhead. How's it going, Jason?
I'm great, Jim. Do you go by Jimmy or James? I was given your contact info by Jimmy Tucker, but then I see that says James Tucker. So.
Yeah, Jimmy. I mean, when someone calls me James, I usually know they either know me from high school or from like being in class with me or from Facebook or something. You know, Jimmy is. I mean, when I was in high school, actually, everybody just called me Tucker. That's I just went by Tucker when I was in high school.
That's kind of how I went by Lawhead. Was pretty much anybody that knows me. Well, they knew if you knew me and you knew my family, which was a big family. They called me Little Lawhead because I was the youngest of seven. So, but Jimmy, it is. That's I got a brother that we call Jimmy, who's the namesake of my dad, Jim Senior, and he was named Jimmy as a young guy. So I'll call you Jimmy Tucker. How's that?
You know Dave Now? Do you remember Dave Now?
Dave Now played for my dad. Great ball player. Really came into his own as a senior year. Big 6'7", lanky guy that had a really nice soft touch. I think if you were to ask my dad about a lot of the different players that he coached over his years, and if you would have asked him, to put together a group of guys that really kind of just worked their butt off and developed over the course of 4 years to really stand out their senior year, Dave Now would be on the top of that list.
Yeah, he told me he used to be a ball boy when he first got in.
Yeah. So I was elementary school age when he was going through high school, and I was always the ball boy. I went from being the little ball boy to kind of the team manager, and then eventually, old enough to go play on for my dad. And I'm actually wearing just in the vein of Lorain, I'm wearing an old throwback, almost 40 years old now, 1989 basketball camp.
Sure. Yeah, your dad was a legend around here.
Yeah, he had a great career, and back in those days, as a kid growing up in Lorain, basketball was football. The high school sports were just so much a part of the fabric of the community, and not just my dad, but so many successful coaches at football and basketball alike, which were kind of the more premier sports because they were played on Friday nights, and the gyms and the stadiums were kind of filled up following the local team. So what a great time to be a young kid in Lorain, growing up, and not just being able to revel in my father's success and be around all of that stuff, but the whole local scene, Lorain as a whole, with 4 strong schools at the time, delivering so many great athletes, coaches alike. So everything changes in life and in the world, but boy, there was a window there in Lorain where any gymnasium, any stadium on a Friday night or a Saturday, you go get your money's worth back then.
You say 4, but there also was Clearview, which was pretty much in Lorain too.
Right, and not to discount Clearview, which is a little township school, but yeah, they were considered the smaller school as far as enrollment wise. That was just on the outskirts of town, and yeah, you're right, 5 schools, and not to discount Clearview, but so all of it. I mean, all of that, and Clearview's still a legacy as Lorain High School is kind of a new version of the conglomerate of the city as a whole. But both schools still putting out some great athletes and some good sports. And so yeah, I'm always, even though I've been away from Lorain for many years, living in Southern California, I've never stopped keeping my ear and eyes to what's going on locally when it comes to the sports scenes and the players and the coaches. And I'm always online during football and basketball season to make sure I know what's happening.
Checking it out, huh?
Yeah,
I love it.
exactly.
I love it. I love the school like the school. In fact, my son plays. He's in 7th grade. They
Oh,
play
cool.
tomorrow, the final game of the season, and they don't have a playoff there.
Right,
And
7th grade, it just ends, and you just
right,
hope to
right,
just look forward to high school, right? Yeah.
right. So he's in 7th grade, undefeated, and they're playing Ridgeville, undefeated tomorrow. So it's
Ooh.
gonna be a great game. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and that's like an after school start type of at that age. What do they
Yeah,
start at
they'll
like
play. They
3:30,
play on
4 o'clock?
Tuesday. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Tuesday around 4 o'clock. So cool. Well,
yeah.
good luck. Good luck. And he goes to Lorain or Clearview?
No, no, no. I moved the hell out of Lorain.
Where's he go?
He goes to Midview.
Oh,
Yeah, he
okay. He
goes to
goes to
Midview.
Midview.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So
I'm
a
in
nice,
Carlisle Township now. I had
yeah,
to get
nice
out of
clash
Lorain.
of kind of southern Lorain County out there a little bit.
Yeah, Lorain just felt like it got too tough on me. Like I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of Lorain. It just, I loved it growing up, but then when
Yeah,
I had daughters going there, and it just scared the hell out of me. But it's gotten a
yeah.
lot better. That was like '90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
And
did.
I'm
It
still
did
going.
take it did take a little turn there for a while, and that was when a lot of the schools were closing, or the threats of the
Hmm.
schools were closing, and the impact of what had happened to a lot of the industry, and then with what Ford was going through, and then just kind of the latent kind of you know stuff that came along with steel and some of the other things that when it finally went away, you saw kind of just a negative outcome for a
Yeah.
while, and Lorraine has made itself like every community has to. We're not unique, and so many places across the country have had to kind of redefine and reset. So I like seeing kind of the reset Lorraine has been going through, and it makes me smile a little bit, because you're right, there was a time where the Lorain I grew up in as a little kid in the late 70s and early 80s seemed like the greatest place on earth.
I agree 100%. I moved when I bought my first house. I bought it back in Lorain, right 2 blocks from where I grew up, and I had to get my wife to come there. She was a Avon girl, and
Oh,
she
okay.
she did not want anything to do with that. She was like
Yeah.
freaking out. Like she finally gave in, let us, because the house was nice. It was a nice split level, nice home we were buying, and it was our first. I was like 24 years old or something. But we're moving, right? So, so we literally the day we move in, some kid dragged a girl down in the woods back in the corner in South Lorraine and like tied her up with shoestrings and poured alcohol on her and lit her on fire. So I literally move her in. I move her in, and the helicopters are there, the TV stations, and I'm going. No, I swear to God, it's never like
No,
this.
it's never like this. That's great. Yeah. I mean, we didn't even know there was woods in Lorraine.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, it was
Exactly.
something wild. It was something else. But yeah. So you're a comedian now. You're a comedy guy. Do you know
Yeah.
Sean Nat
I
Beaker?
believe he
They called him
changed
in Lorraine.
changed his last name, didn't he? Or was he always Sean that he was from Lorraine, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Beaker, we called him.
Yeah, Beaker he went to Southview, right?
Yeah, I went to Southview with them, and we worked at Campbell's Buffet together in
Right.
high school.
So I knew Sean in like the junior high years, and then obviously I knew him because we were around the same age. He's probably 52, 51, 52 in that age. How old are you?
I'm 52. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
52.
so we're the same age, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. And I knew that he went out and ventured into comedy, but I kind of lost track with him, and I don't know. He was out in L.A. for a while. I was in L.A. for a while doing stand up, but we never crossed paths in the stand up circles.
Oh
So I
really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I just assumed you would. Being hometown boys, you're both out there. I just assumed, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen that easily, and sometimes it may, but we just never had crossed those paths and being on the same show set or something like that. It just
Sure.
never happened. Do you keep in touch with him still?
A little bit. I had him do the podcast with me. He used to when he come to town before his mom died.
Okay.
When he would come to town, he would come visit for holidays and stuff, and we'd meet up or whatever and hang out. But
Okay.
you know,
Does he
yeah,
get back to Lorain very often, or
I
almost?
haven't seen him come back since his mom passed that I know
Oh,
of.
okay.
But I'm
How long
sure he
ago,
might. But I haven't seen him.
how long ago was that?
That was probably like 5 years ago, somewhere in that
Okay.
range. Something. I know when I bought the bar originally, he was here. I think once or twice. I think once I got the bar, and then I didn't see him after that. I think the last time I seen him was when his mom had passed.
When did you buy that bar?
2017, October of 2017. So literally just past 8 years now.
8 years. Well, congratulations.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
how's it going over there?
It's going good. I put a big addition on the one side, so it has a huge outside bar now and patio that's out there, and it's full service bar. Like there's bartenders out there with the kegs and I mean, it's full on bar out there.
Okay.
So it's not like the littler place inside only like it was when it was the gin mill. And
Yeah.
I want to do an addition. We'll see how it works. We'll have to see how the financing goes, but I'm considering doing next spring. I want to do an addition where maybe I could have some little events there, maybe a little stand-up comedy show or something like that,
Yeah.
is what I was hoping
Now,
for.
do you own the property, or did you just buy the bar and are on a lease, or is
No,
that?
no, I own the property. Yeah, I
Oh,
bought the
great. So you
property.
were
Yeah.
able to go, but not just buy the bar, but buy the whole.
Yeah, I did a lease thing, like a lease purchase deal, and then it was like 2020 when that lease purchase was up. So I actually had to give them a bunch more money to
Oh, okay.
to
Finalize the
to
lease
hold
and
it. Well,
just
just to hold it another year because they
oh,
COVID days they weren't financing
oh,
restaurants.
right, right. So
They
it
just
hit
were like,
during
nope.
that. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so you were caught on just a bad luck calendar type of thing on that
Yes,
thing.
yes,
Oh, wow.
yes.
Well, it's good to know that you survived that and you're still moving forward. And you bought that from like old Hanko, right? Was that?
No, he actually sold it to Schuster's. So do you remember the party
Oh,
place or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah. The
Schuster's
Schuster,
had it for
sure.
a
Of
little
course.
while.
Of course. Yeah, I did not know that. I did not know that because he owned Lorain Party Center.
Correct. And they own Don's on the lake or something in Sheffield
Right.
Lake.
Right.
So,
Okay. I never knew that changed hands to them and then changed hands to you. Okay. Because I grew up as a little kid after these Lorain Catholic basketball games. So many nights my dad and his kind of contingent and loyal following of people that would go out and meet them after games. Those fans that have held season tickets for many years. It was either the Gin Mill or the Corner on
yeah.
Broadway were the two places. Like after the games, they had it planned on a Friday night. We were going to have that side room or table next to the bar. They'd hold them for us at either one of those bars. And I grew up playing, asteroids and Pac-Man and getting quarters from my dad's friends and everybody going around and they'd be buying, and I'd stand around the bar waiting for them to get change from their drinks,
Yeah. I did the same thing.
And they would hand me a couple of quarters, and then I'd run into the other room and I'd play asteroids or Pac-Man, whatever the games that they had at that time. But great memories of the old Gym Mill. And so the next time I come into town, I'm definitely going to stop in and see the old bar there and have a drink so we can meet in person because
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
And you can come up
absolutely.
in studio. This studio is above the bar.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
There's like
Yeah.
an attic up here that like used to be an apartment, I guess, years ago.
Okay.
And
Oh, really?
that's my
That's what was
office
up
and
there
studio.
always? Okay.
Yeah. So that's where it's at. And I've got a little studio. It's not real big, but it does the trick, that's for sure.
Were you in the bar business before buying this bar, or was it just something you just thought, "Hey, man, I want to own a bar, and this one's for sale," or what? Well, how did that all come about? I feel like
Um,
I'm interviewing you now. This is like
yeah,
my,
right. But that's okay. That's fine. That's
no,
what you do.
because of my connection to the old gin mill. I'm curious.
My uncle has owned bars. He used to originally it was called Higgy's Hideout was his first like one that I remember. He had ones before that, but Higgy's Hideout, which eventually became Toucan Charlie's, which I know you know where that was.
Toucan. Oh yeah, I got into some trouble at old Toucan.
Yeah, we all did. So,
I lied to a few girls in Toucan Charlie.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was back when we had to go meet them face to face. We didn't have the internet. We had to actually spit some game.
Swiping left or right. Yeah.
Right.
You had to go in there and see if you could dance good enough to have a girl want to, hang out with you. Yeah.
I was always in that. I always stayed in that, like, just don't move a bunch. Just like give it a little, little head bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't embarrass yourself too much or you're going home alone.
Oh yeah.
We were in there one night. We
were probably in there at the same time and didn't even know each other. Just
I'm sure we're the same age, so I'm sure.
Gaving on the same girls at the same time and didn't even know, right?
Very possible, very possible. But that was my uncle's first bar, and then he bought Confetti's. He had Confetti's for a little while. And then I was in construction. I did construction for years. I was a union carpenter, and I started a construction company, and we were doing commercial construction. And I mean, commercial construction's a different game. When you go to do commercial construction, they expect you to carry the bill, and then they pay you after you get everything done. There's no upfront money and stuff like that.
The job, pay for the job, and then get paid afterwards.
I mean, they'll do 30-day draws, but you're still spending the money up front.
Right.
And a lot of them, and not all of them, there's certainly great companies around. And then I'll shoot a shout out real quick. Star Builders being one of them. Star Builders was Janan and Herner's another one. Always good companies that would pay you consistently 30 days. They were never an issue. But there's many that I had dealt with that would pay me late. And I would watch my uncle in his bars, and I'd go, the thing is with that is they're paying when you give them the bottle. Like, that's way better than me. Like, I'm done the work. I've done everything, and now I got to beg you for the money, like you don't owe it to me, And I just never liked that, so that's how I got into it. I just thought what he was doing looked a little more appealing than what I was doing, but
yeah. And you're creating your own kind of destiny in a way. You've got an ability to be creative, to put additions on, to have different ideas, and to implement them. And you can take some swings, and if you miss, you move on. And if you take some swings and you hit it out of the ballpark, then even better, right?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. When we put the patio on, it was a home run. That was nobody's seen nothing like that around here. People got places where they go out and smoke a cigarette in a fenced-in area, and that's about it. Until I came out with the full-on bar, full-service tables, chairs,
Well, yeah, you got the property and parking lot size out there from what I recall, as long as it still looks the same. God, I can't even remember the last time I drove down that stretch of. That's Cooper Foster, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Northridge Road on our end, but yeah.
When it runs into, man, I can't even remember even my times coming home, my parents live out in Avon now after selling the house in Lorain. My sister lives in Amherst, so I'm kind of just on the freeway between those two spots, and maybe hit downtown Lorain or different places. But I can't remember the last time I was in. I've been on that stretch of road.
Yeah, it's still a busy road, that's for sure. Definitely is still a busy road, and we've got enough room. I bought the field in the back. There's a field back there, so I bought that. So when we have overflow parking, and if I ever get an addition on, I'll pave that and turn it into a parking lot, because I chewed up a lot of the parking lot with the outdoor patio and bar and all that. So I lost a big section.
Like a comparable type of menu, burgers and the kind of bar stuff, or?
Yeah, burgers, wings, that type of stuff. I don't do frog legs, and I don't do. Right. I was doing the prime rib on Saturdays, was doing fantastic. And then it just kind of trickled off to where it wasn't worth having anymore. So I just kind of got away from it. I know that was one of their big ones.
Now beef prices today, man, I don't even know how. You go into just a mid-range steakhouse, and the prices for a steak are like out of control. They're like what 5-star steakhouses were 15 years ago, because the beef prices are just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what I'd done when I bought this place 8 yeyears ago, I did 3 times the food business, and I paid quarter of what I paid a week for built food. So I mean,
Sure.
that's skyrocketed for sure. There's no question. So people don't go out and eat as much. But you know, speaking of that though,
Yes.
me and my wife have a dinner date where we are going to a dinner and a show on October 19th at Hilarities. They got a package deal. You get the dinner, get there around 5, and then you're going on at 7. So we're going to come out and
I'm
see
looking
you.
forward to it.
Yeah.
And thanks, by the way, for coming on out and helping me plug the show. And yeah, it's a big deal for me. Not just because I'm headlining that night, but it's where I started my comedy career after working, in living in Lorain through my 20s and working with Jim Andrews at the Jackalope for many years and bartending and moving my way up to general manager with him and being exposed to that business. There was always a kind of a dormant thing inside of me that I had always wanted to do comedy. I grew up as a kid, like I said, and it was either sports. All I did was watch sports or stand up on television throughout the 80s and 90s, and shows like In Living Color. A lot of people, Saturday Night Live was great, yeah, but I was like an In Living Color guy. Jim Carrey, Damon Wayans, Keenan Wayans, Tommy Davis. Like that show to me was the kind of the real big influence in kind of harboring those feelings. So eventually, when Hilarities opened, Pickwick and Frolic, the whole big institution, if you haven't been there, it's a huge restaurant, a martini bar, cabaret bar, and comedy club. They were opening, and I saw that article, and I thought, it's now or never. And so I kind of went down there and got a job, and eventually just worked as an employee for the club. And then after about a year of working as an employee, kind of made it known that I was interested in possibly performing. And then myself and another great friend of mine, Mike Farrell, who was working there as well, he was kind of a aspiring young comedian and wanted to get a job there as well. And so we just kind of did what we had to do. We started a little open mic night at a club called Bottoms Up on 117th Street in I don't know what it's called now. They had a little downstairs lounge, and then we just kind of did that while we worked at the club. And
Is that Brothers Lounge? Is that what that is? Brothers
no,
Lounge
no,
now?
no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
That's a different. So Brothers is 117th in Detroit. This
Okay.
or I think or 25th. I don't know. But this was 117th Street. Still like in the Cleveland.
Okay. I gotcha.
It was a Bottoms Up. It was just a little dive bar that had a cool little downstairs lounge room that set up good for a little small comedy show. So all of that kind of just that started coming up on 22 years ago. That was 22 years ago in November is when that all happened. And to get back to be able to come back now once every year and a half, 2 years or so to headline after all of those years is always huge for me because I worked as an employee in that club, and I used to put the names of the comics on the marquee. And now these days, in the last several years, I've been able to come back and be one of those names. So it never loses sight on me. I always, kind of just soak it in. This is always a big week for me, the way I feel coming into the week and knowing that there's going to be some support and people behind me in the audience and the opportunity to just
And dealing with your parents.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they'll still be there. They're a lot of fodder for me, but they're great sports about it. And that's how you get to be a comedian, though. You get to be a comedian by the impacts of others and what they've been able to influence on you, and the funny moments that they created over a lifetime for us, and the fun and the large family, the kind of the loud dynamic of making each other laugh, and so that is all tied up into who I am and where I've gotten, and so definitely an exciting and proud moment, and I'm so glad that my parents, who are now 87, almost 88, are still, you know, still kicking, still sharp, and still able to come out and be a part of it. And the people that know me for a long time also know them, and they get to see them. And it's kind of it's kind of like in a microcosm. It's kind of like all of those days we went to places like the gin mill after games. It's a celebration. It's what we kind of, it ties us together, and I look forward to it. So it's like an LC basketball game all over again.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Comedy sounds like it would be so much fun to try. I would love it. I would love to try it one time. I mean, but I don't have the ball. Like I can't imagine like that. Like I feel like you get up there, they're gonna look at you, and go, who the fuck does this guy think he is? You know what I mean? Like, so how did that go about? How did that go about? Like when you first decided, and what was it like the first time you took a stage? Period. Not like a big stage, just a stage in general.
Yeah, so the first time it was a very vivid moment. So the first time I took a stage was with, so my, as I mentioned, my friend Mike and I had kind of went and with the help of another guy that was knew the club scene. He was like a promoter type of guy that we knew. Found this space because when we were working at Hilarities, if you've ever been there, is an A room. I mean, that is a beautiful room.
Yeah. It's awesome.
There's not an amateur night there on a Tuesdays that you can sign up for, where some clubs do that and they just give out free tickets and hope some people, the friends of those open micers, come in and buy some drinks or whatever and just have an open mic. So we didn't have that. We were, obviously working there, but we were told, look, until you guys get good enough, you can't come on this stage. Go find another place to figure it out. And so we did that. And the first night, I wasn't even going to go do it. The first night, I was kind of on the, let's just try to promote something. My buddy Mike was very hungry to go on stage, and we knew some other local comics that had been working as opening acts that had already been doing this. So we had built a lineup of a show, and I wasn't even going to go up. We had hired a guy to be the MC because we felt like if the first show is going to be successful, we need one of the most seasoned comics around to be like the MC, the host, to go out and do the first 15 minutes, and then to bring up other acts, and then to fill in if a guy doesn't do well or whatever. So we had actually hired a guy, Mike Conley, who's out of Akron, who's been doing it for many years. Very funny. I still keep in touch with Mike. And about a day or two, we had planned this thing. And about a day or two before the first show, Mike got a hold of us and said, "Hey, man, I'm sorry, but I got booked on something that's a better gig. It's paying more money, whatever. Sorry about this. I can't do it." And so I was kind of thrown into hosting the first night. I wasn't even going to go on stage that night. I was going to watch and just see how this first played out, because we just kind of had a deal with the bar going, "Hey, if it works, maybe we'll do a second one. If you guys put people in the seats, this promoting is on you guys." And so we filled the place up, and I went up there and just kind of, with a little liquid courage help I remember just taking, like, when we were like, you got to go. I'm like, "Oh gosh." So I fired back a couple of tequilas and loosened up. And I just told some street jokes that I knew, that he just tried to be personable. And it played.
So you didn't have a set ready?
Not really. No, I had written I had some jokes written because I was already, into write. I think one of my first jokes I ever told that I wrote was when I introduced myself to the crowd. I said, "My name's Jason Lawhead, and it is how it sounds. The name is just Law and Head, like Lawhead, which is ironically what I had to give a state trooper to get out of a speeding ticket on my way." So, so that was and I had already had that joke written about my last name, and then so I had a couple of jokes, but then to fill in the time, I was doing like street jokes and a little crowd work, and I knew some people in the audience, right? Obviously, so I was able to just kind of. And it played. It was good. It got the night off to a start, and I was able to hand the show over to the other comedians and then come back in between, and maybe throw. Then I got a little more confident by the third comedian. I'm like, oh, I'll go up and do 5 more minutes, and then so it worked. And after that night, obviously, I was just hooked on the feeling of live performing, finally doing it, finally not daydreaming about it, and all of that stuff. And my partner Mike in the gig, and then the guy that was the GM there, Jason Smithers, who was just so supportive of what we wanted to do. They were just like, we're doing it again next week, and you're the host. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, this is your show. You are the host. We can't do this without you every day. So everybody just kind of, after that first night, we were celebrating. The guy that helped us put it together, me, Mike, Tyler Lombardo is his name. He was the guy that kind of found us the space and negotiated the deal, and then the GM. And we all just decided, let's just do this. And Lawhead, you're going to be the host. You're going to be the face of the show, and we'll just book some different comedians. And then we did it on a Wednesday night, and because there was the Improv down in the Flats and Hilarities, 2 main clubs, we did a 10 o'clock later show after their shows were already in-house. And we were able to start making it at a hot enough show where the headliners and the feature acts that were traveling into Cleveland to do these clubs from New York or LA or whatever, it was their first night in town for a long weekend. And they would come, and we would have guys just going, hey, let these guys know if they want to come down. We'll get them a cab. We'll get a driver over. Drinks and food are on us, just if they want to. And comics want to do comedy. So even though they just headlined or did whatever at the Improv or Hilarities, they wanted to come down and be a part of a fun night. And we had the hottest little comedy room there for a few years every Wednesday night. And that's where I cut my teeth. And then eventually, over a course of some months from there, on any other nights off that I had, I would go do an open mic here or an open mic there. And then eventually, some months down the road, the owner, Nick Costas, the owner of Hilarities, finally came down to watch what we were doing down there. And he saw, my set, and then he started giving me guest sets based off of that. He would give me, while I was working at the club, maybe like on a Thursday night, there was the show that was already booked. He would start saying, okay, after the host goes up, go up and do 4 or 5 minutes as a guest set, and then so I started getting my sea legs, so to speak, on real stages that way. And then it wasn't long after that he started giving me the full week to be the opening act, the MC,
oh,
to come
wow.
out and do 10 or 15 minutes. And from there, I just, worked at it. I worked at the writing. I worked at the performing. I just took it seriously, and eventually, 5 minutes, as Nick Costas told me many years ago, if you do it, 5 minutes will turn into 10. You work on that 10, you perfect it. 10 will turn into 15. You work on that, it'll perfect it. 15 will turn into 20. And your writing muscle will develop overnight, and that's kind of how it all just kind of started for me. And look, to hear somebody say, man, I always think about doing it. I always tell anybody that comes up to me, even after a show in Las Vegas, I was just in Las Vegas, so even after a show in Las Vegas, somebody might come up and be like, and they'll start telling you how they think about doing it. And I always just go, try it. There's got to be an open mic somewhere. There's got to be somewhere locally. You can just go try it, and then just tell yourself whether you want to keep trying it. Now, if you decide you want to do it for a living, it's 199% of your effort, and you've got to be able to take rejection and failure, and you have to be able to feel that feeling of, man, that did not go well tonight. Can I do this again? And if you
see, that's the problem with me. I've never even asked a girl to go out. I just wait until they ask me. I don't like rejection.
Yeah, so that's a tough.
Luckily, I was a good-looking kid.
Though. Nobody does, and I don't like rejection. And there was a lot of times I wanted to quit early on, even after like growing out of the Cleveland, proving myself in that market, and then moving on and spreading my wings in bigger areas. There was a lot of times I wanted to quit. I mean, rejection and failure is tough. And then, I think it's a great teaching moment too for you over time. Um, it sometimes it'll knock you back and create more, positive moments down the road that you don't see at that moment that you're failing or you're being rejected. And you have to go through everybody's journey is different, right? Like everybody's path to wherever. How you got to own the Madhouse bar is different than how the guy that owns another bar, how he got to own it. And so, you know, was there self-loathing along the way? Was there feelings of victimization along the way? Sure. Did I have to dig myself out of those moments and, kind of get courageous at times that it didn't feel like I had that in me? Absolutely. To survive what I've had to kind of survive, and you have to sacrifice a lot. You have to sacrifice friends, and I just mean you have to sacrifice the times that like you got used to doing things. You have to sacrifice money. You have to sacrifice a lot of things that you don't realize that you would have to sacrifice in just a regular run of the mill. You have to sacrifice seeing your family and coming home for Christmas, and you have to sacrifice a lot of things. But you also have to try to put those things into perspective. And getting old, right? You're the same age.
Yeah.
Getting
Sucks
older
ass.
is, well, it sucks ass it sucks ass physically, but I would say like, but it's if you allow it to, if you allow aging and to enlighten your perspective, you do, it is a moment of healing. Like there is, getting older, you can reflect on the things that you've learned and you won't do again. And I had a lot of big battles through 2011 to 2016. Let's say that window of where I was in my career, of I had to stop, regretting the past and worrying about the future. That was a big,
Did you get divorced or something?
no.
Oh,
Just
okay.
like the decisions I made in comedy, or the things that I may have said, I may have sidetracked. No, I didn't get married until 6 years ago. Luckily, she's still upstairs. And
You hope.
yeah, but I'm just talking about in this career, like just a lot of the things that I had to, hang ups and things that were I was, kneecapping myself with, and just things. So I think getting older and that perspective allows you to, instead of regretting the past, you start shaking it off and you start forgetting the things that may have stunted your growth or whatever you may have blamed something else on. So, but getting back to doing comedy, like I would always encourage anybody, like, give it a try. Now it's a different time. I tried comedy. I first tried comedy before MySpace was invented. Now today there's cameras everywhere, and I always encourage young comics too. It's probably tempting. It's easier to say when you haven't started comedy in this world age of everything shared on social media. But I always encourage young comics just starting out. I'm like, dude, whatever you do, don't put your clips on YouTube or Instagram or anything, because you don't know what you're doing yet. Like
Wait till you're skilled.
yeah, wait till you're polished. Wait till you have the kind of, like, wait till you feel like you have kind of earned some standing in the business, because you only have one chance to make a first impression, and be pre social media, pre everybody having a video camera on their phone. You could make a lot of mistakes.
Have you ever
And
heard the story Matt Rife tells about his?
no, I can't
So
say.
Matt Rife, I guess, was going at it for a long time and not having any success. I mean, for a long, long time. And apparently, he posted, I think it was a crowd work video that he had set up to post. He didn't want to send it. He goes, man, it's just not that good. I don't want to send it. And he had already been to a point where he was doing it so bad, like he had been going at it for so long. He felt like he had it good, but it just wasn't hitting. And he ends up sending it, and then he wakes up in the morning and he's freaking viral, and that's how Matt Rife becomes Matt Rife eventually. So,
yeah, and a lot of guys have had just the success off of virality of videos, and some can stand up to the challenge. He obviously has been able to.
no, it was 11 years, though. It was 11 years in when he did that.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a
no,
long
I'm saying,
time.
like, meaning like by that time, and he's lucky that that thing didn't go viral until he was 11 years in. Because if
Probably.
something, and that's my advice is, because if something goes viral 2 years in, you're not good enough to follow that up. You're not.
Haktua.
Yeah,
Perfect
exactly.
example.
Exactly. Or, and there was just like Last Comic Standing is a great example. The early days of Last Comic Standing. There's some contestants that when they made it or hit or won Last Comic Standing, they were just small clip comedians that the audience on TV, oh my God, but all they've had to do in that season of Last Comic Standing was show you 5 or 6 minutes of stand-up. Then when they were thrust as the winner or somebody who finished in the top 2 or 3, and they had to go out into the real world of stand-up, they couldn't deliver because they didn't have the experience behind them to sell what was sold about them. And so they disappeared into the ether. And some guys that didn't win Last Comic Standing or were on it and never got any recognition are some of the biggest headliners today because that moment did not, they were able to survive that moment through experience and being a good comedian and being polished. So it's a jump ball, dude. It's a fumble. Sometimes, this show business, like a lot of other things in industries, when you're going for something, it's a loose ball. Who can jump on the loose ball? Who can pick up the loose ball and run it back for the touchdown? And who's good enough to hold on to the football if they pick it up and keep going with it? So,
Yeah, I started the podcast the same way. A couple years of just thinking I really wanted to do one. And then I just decided to go ahead and do it. And I've been doing it for 3 years now. I'm not having crazy success, local success, I guess you could say. We're getting a lot of views at locally. My last one I just did was like 5,000, which in this area, that's a lot for the area.
That's great in any area. And like you said, being a bar owner and a local bar owner, is success because that's where you don't, if you have 50,000 listeners, that's successful. But if 48,000 of them are, not in Ohio,
Right.
it isn't going to really translate into people coming to visit you at your bar. It might just be like, hey, this guy has some good guests on, and I'm a podcast addict, and I just kind of find new podcasts. And so it's good that it's a big local following that you can only grow. That can only grow, right? And so.
Sure.
What you did in a sense is kind of like, what a lot of comedians, you decided I've wanted to do this. Screw it, I'm going to do it. I don't care how many people listen or how many people like it, as long as the ones that do like it. I can't get everybody to like my comedy, right? If everybody liked your comedy, I think you'd be, whatever. I have opinions.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, but not even everybody likes his comedy, right?
I don't know if that's true. I'm gonna say that's not true.
He's got millions of people that do love his comedy, but he also has his detractors, and that's what you need in any art form. I think is people, But yeah, but you already know that going in, whether it's a podcast, whether it's comedy, whether you're a painter, whether you're an actor, whether you're a politician, whatever you put yourself out onto a public forum, for as many people that like you and love you, and there's always going to be people that don't. So you can't. I don't worry about who doesn't. It's like a coach. It's like we can't worry about who isn't on the team. We got to try to win with what's on the team. And
I was
So
doing my research on you, and everybody calls you a sports comic. I'm like, just because they're laughing at him for being a Cleveland fan doesn't make him a comic.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, just because just because I'm mired into born into the worst sports city fan base in the history, but that comes with a lot of fodder and a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I love sports, and I do a ton of stuff just even outside of Cleveland sports on stage. I was just in Vegas over the weekend and was able to just go after the Raiders and make fun of them and the fact that they had to have you got to have just to get you guys need women's basketball just to win a title out here, just making fun of them for all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, sports is a huge influence on me. So obviously, rightfully, it will be in my comedy. Sports, family, kind of the life that I live with my wife and the things we go through, and then just the things I see that I think are funny, maybe in the world that other people can relate to, and that's really kind of what kind of comedian I am.
Do you ever do anything edgy? Do you ever push it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I do some stuff edgy. I mean, I think I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm filthy, but I can be edgy. I mean, I do this joke about the end racism slogan that the NFL has, and it's I've been told by other comics that's really funny. That's an edgy, funny bit because it attacks the idea of who's going to end racism, and it's just a statement, and it attacks, and it kind of puts the NFL back on their heels for even having the audacity to do it. And then I also attack the idea of like we can't even end hating people we look like, right? Like in the same in this where are we?
You fucking crow, you freaking Pollock, I mean, whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, I go. I mean, so the punchline to that joke is like, turn on 48 Hours. There's white people killing white people with the same last name every week, and I go, turn on the first 48 in Memphis. There's black dudes killing black dudes with the same nickname every week. I saw an episode where a Little Smoke smoked a Big Smoke over a bag of smoke. So and so it comes back around to I won't give away the whole joke, but there's more to that joke that ends it to make sense of the idea that slogans ain't gonna solve any problems. It's just irritating people, and it's just
it does irritate people some degree. Some people, and it gets other people worked up, but that aren't irritated, but they're worked up.
But my whole point is, I look at the NFL. I'm like, who's gonna end racism? I'm like, how about end child poverty? You could do that with one of Roger Goodell's bonus checks, but you won't write that on the field because that's real. You actually there is a way to solve that problem. But end racism is just you guys do it, so it's just.
Were they going to freaking hire a defensive end? What, that's white or what? That's going to end racism.
Like, who are you talking to? Me? I'm like, I already own a $300 Jim Brown throwback jersey. You guys are the ones not hiring any black head coaches. What am I supposed to do? So so I mean, when
I know one black head coach that I wish was not a head coach. I know one.
Wait, you wasn't a head coach?
Yeah, wasn't a head coach. Or at least he wasn't where he's at anyways.
Oh, Romeo?
No. Pittsburgh, Mike.
Oh, Mike Tomlin, yeah. Well, he kicked our butts again yesterday.
Jesus Christ.
He had a darn good point. I don't know if you heard what he said about what are the Browns thinking trading Flacco? Like, why are you trading a quarterback to a division opponent that needs a quarterback?
Well, I'm a heartbroken guy. First of all, I think that giving Flacco to somebody else that's your rivalry is just going to help you because Flacco ain't got it no more. He's throwing more interceptions. Even the last time he was here, I was mad that he came back. But
he wasn't the fix.
And he ain't going to do nothing for Cincinnati but help us. I promise.
I don't know.
He ain't gonna do nothing but help us. He's garbage. I mean, he's just done. He's not. He was a great quarterback at one time. He had a nice arm. He's throwing interception after interception. The problem is with me. I'm ready for my Tampa Bay jersey. I'm ready. I'm ready. I was such a Baker Mayfield fan, and for them to cut him loose, I mean, I was a huge fan, and he's proven it every day. He's 5-1 now over there, 5-1, and we're 1-5.
Yeah, and he keeps and they're 5-1 because he keeps coming up with the big play when they need it.
Yeah,
They
he's a
are
playmaker.
I think they've only outscored their opponents by 6 points in these
Yeah.
6 games. So, so they're plus minus different, and they darn near beat the Eagles in their only loss. I mean, he almost came back and got them. Actually, it's funny that you say that because on Saturday I went into Caesar's Sportsbook and I put a future on the Buccaneers just to win the NFC title this year. So I think I got
Did you?
9-1. Yeah, sometimes I'll just feel like, yeah, why not? I'll just go play a future for $50. It's $50. If I lose it, if I win it, I'm going to win almost 500. If they win the NFC. I didn't pick them to win the Super Bowl, but I picked them to win the NFC because I feel like the NFC right now, with the way the Eagles are playing and a lot of other injuries to some other, Green Bay's not playing great, Detroit's not playing great. I feel like the NFC's kind of wide open. I wouldn't have said that in the beginning of the season. I would have said it's probably the Eagles or the Lions or maybe Green Bay.
I thought Lions coming in. I thought for sure.
Yeah,
but
I just thought the Eagles would repeat with as loaded they are, and I just felt like if it isn't the Eagles, it's either the Lions or Green Bay, depending on which one of those teams can take the next step. I didn't think Tampa Bay would be in that conversation, and then 5 weeks in, I'm like, I'll take a little flyer on this one, $50 on Tampa Bay. Why not? I mean, if the Eagles were playing dominant football, or if the Lions were playing dominant football, I wouldn't have walked into Caesars and made that bet. But I went in Saturday thinking, and then Sunday reaffirmed. The Eagles lost,
right.
The Lions lost, and Tampa Bay wins. And so the day after I made that pick, I'm even feeling better about that pick. So
yeah, I'm a Baker fan. I had a nice picture of him here in the bar and everything. We ended up having to get rid of it, but everybody kept giving me shit. Everybody was giving me shit. There was so many people were like, "Oh, why you don't like Deshaun Watson?" It's like, I don't see where he's better than I never. Well, this was before he got hurt or anything.
Yeah, I got you.
But I'm going, I don't see where he's going to improve anything. I mean, Baker Mayfield had one bad year while he was hurt. Before that, he was killing it. Just what he did to Pittsburgh alone as a Cleveland fan, in that playoff game, that's the greatest thing ever. Like, oh, well, you just get to be a lifetime Brown, I think, at that point.
I said this during that whole turmoil, right? I'll be honest. At that time, even after the Pittsburgh season, and then the year after they fell short and he was playing hurt or whatever it was, I was never sitting there saying he's the next coming. He's going to lead us to a Super Bowl. But conversely, I was also defending the stance that even through the bad second year that after the Pittsburgh playoff win and he was playing hurt, I also said, it's crazy how Cleveland fans are reacting. A lot of Cleveland fans were running him out, right? They were, there were some Baker bros, but there was a lot of vocal, media and fans alike that were like, get Baker out of here. And even though I may have
that was behind what's his name, Odell Beckham, or Odell,
Beckham's dad and everything,
and all that stuff.
But you would think he was still getting the vocal support of the Nick Chubbs and the Myles Garretts to a degree.
Now we get rid of Nick Chubb. We got rid of Nick Chubb. Who gets rid of Nick Chubb? Who does that?
For $2 million too. It's not like we got rid of Nick Chubb because you're like, well, we can't pay this guy $25 million with a bad knee. I mean, he's getting almost the league minimum at the point of where he is with NFL seniority. But my point is this: my whole thing at that time with Baker was, yeah, he might be having a bad year in this second year, and the Browns aren't going to make the playoffs. But we as a fan base and a media, we're acting like we are some, Green Bay with we move on from one great quarterback to another. I go, this guy beat Pittsburgh. The fact that we beat Pittsburgh in a playoff game, the fact that didn't gain him enough currency to survive another season or two. I mean, to think that we as a fan base and a media had the audacity to think that we sit here and we were quarterback factory or something, and it's like, we'll get this guy out of here. He's no good. It's like we hadn't won a playoff game since Vinny Testaverde. And
That's
we beat
bad. That's
Pittsburgh in
bad.
Pittsburgh. We ended Ben Roethlisberger's career
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh. I said, when that happened, I go, we made Ben Roethlisberger cry. That hasn't happened since some woman maced him. Like that, the last time he shed a tear is when he was maced in a women's room. So, come on. That alone should have kept him around at least a couple of years.
Well, the thing that was crazy is that they were showing the stats, and no player in 2-year history had better stats in Cleveland ever. I'm
Oh, I
talking
know.
all the way back. There isn't one. I'm talking Jim Brown's era. I'm talking there's just
Oh, I
never
know.
was anybody. Not
I
Bernie
know.
Kosar, nobody. His numbers were only like it's a Drew Brees is the only one that was compared to in his first season.
And the other weird thing was, he just seemed very Cleveland-esque. He seemed scrappy. He seemed like a chip on his shoulder. He had something to prove. He was very symbolic of the nature of the city and its people. And it was a weird time to see how that all went down. And some people can blame the things Baker said, or he did too many progressive commercials, or whatever the damn thing is.
He did
But
do a lot of commercials.
he did, but I mean,
They were funny though.
at the end of it, they were funny. I mean, he was the overall number one pick. He was a Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
He brought Cleveland to the playoff pinnacle. I mean, if that stupid fumble doesn't go out of bounds, they probably beat the Chiefs in that game.
Yes. Fact.
I mean, they probably beat the Chiefs. I mean, so they could have been playing for a Super Bowl berth if that
Right.
ball does not if that ball does not roll out of the end zone. Anyway, yeah, like I'm happy for his success. Some people, still want to, piss and shit all over the poor guy, and he's still not that good. He's just in a better situation. It's like, what? First off, he is that good right now, and he's the leading candidate to win the MVP award after
Yeah,
6
I just saw that. That's crazy. And the Browns got rid of him. Browns get rid of him.
With the last Browns MVP? Do you know who the last Browns MVP was?
Jim Brown?
Brian Sipe, 1980.
Was it Brian Sipe when I was a little kid? That guy, Brian Sipe?
Won the NFL MVP award in 1980.
Jesus. Oh my God. That's crazy. I didn't realize that.
Brian Sipe, but I think Brian Sipe, Jim Brown, and Leroy Kelly are the only players to ever win MVP for the Cleveland Browns.
I didn't know. I knew when I was a kid. I want to say my first grade picture, I've got a Brian Sipe jersey on.
Yeah.
But I never knew how good he was, or if he was good. Evidently, he was better than I thought.
Sling it.
You go look at some. Too young for us.
5-year. I think there's like a 4 or 5 year window. You go look at his stats again, and especially in the days where they ran on first and second down almost every time. Those were the days where play calling. You didn't really throw the ball on third down, and every once in a while you might throw it on first if you were feeling good about where you were moving the ball, but. This guy was putting up almost 4,000 yards in the early 80s. I mean,
wow. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. I knew he was our head quarterback, but I knew I had his jersey, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I think
that was before I really cared.
He finished MVP, and the year after he was MVP, I think he finished third in the voting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So, Cavs. You're a Cavs fan. What are we gonna do this year?
Oh yeah. I think the Cavs. I think the Cavs' next move here is just it's looking inside of themselves at this point. I think the talent is there. I think obviously no NBA team can win a title. I don't care how good you are, wins and loss wise, record wise. I don't think any NBA team can win a title without a guy that is a premier NBA player, and the Cavs have one. Donovan Mitchell is.
I feel like the Cavs have 3. I mean, there's.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say. I think if you moved Mitchell away and brought in a statistically similar player at his position that isn't that true guy that can go out and get you 48 on a certain night when you need 48. I don't think the Cavs have that without Donovan Mitchell. I think when you're talking about elite players in the league that can lead a roster to an NBA title, there isn't many of those guys. And I think he is one of them. And I think even if, like I said, even if you replaced him with someone statistically similar, just because stats lie a lot in the NBA. Somebody's got to get these points, somebody's got to get these assists, somebody's got to get these rebounds. I mean, in a game where 120 some points are scored, some guys have stats because that's just the way the game sets up. Some guys have stats and they also are true elite ball players. And I think he's one of them. I don't think Evan Mobley is one of them. I don't think
Garland.
Garland is one of those guys. I think Garland and Mobley are more stat refined. I think Mobley's biggest problem, Mobley is a guy that, and here's where Mobley and let's say Pascal Siakam for the Indiana Pacers are totally different. Mobley is a guy that over a stretch of a game between minutes in the second quarter and the third quarter, let's say, he looks unstoppable. Like Mobley, there's stretches in basketball games that Mobley looks like, geez, this guy's unstoppable. But then there are equally as many stretches and very important stretches in games, especially playoff games, where the man disappears, absolutely goes invisible.
Well,
And
that's the difference between good and great, and it's
a
effort.
Pascal
Effort is the
Siakam,
difference between good and great.
and a Pascal Siakam, even in a game where Pascal Siakam goes 6 of 19 from the field, he never disappears. He's slapping around 50-50 balls. He's getting block shots. He's getting steals. He's running in transition. He's getting back on defense to make a big defensive play. So even in those games where guys like him don't shoot the ball very well or put up huge statistics, there's times where a guy like a Pascal Siakam is a great example, and I use that because Indiana, that was the type of team that got to the NBA Finals and through a tough Eastern Conference last year. That's the kind of guy where 19 points, 9 rebounds is a more valuable game than Evan Mobley at 27 points, 12 rebounds sometimes, oftentimes. And so until Mobley can become one of those types of guys, the Pascal Siakam type of player, or even I'll even say, Denver's got one in Gordon. Gordon's that kind of player. Aaron Gordon for the Denver Nuggets is that kind of, even if his stat line doesn't look good, he never disappears. You know who else disappears? Karl Anthony Towns. Same type of player as Mobley. Looks on. You could go a stretch between the first, second, and third quarter or whatever, and this guy looks at you, but he's hitting threes. He's taking you to the hole, getting and ones. He's getting a block shot on this end, and then sometime in the late third quarter to the buzzer, he's been gone. He's just disappears. He's getting worked over in the low post. He's fumbling he can't catch a pass. He's dribbling out of bounds, and that's what Mobley does. So Mobley has to become. He's got to become a Pascal Siakam for this team to move on, and
That's
Garland,
effort. That's effort. 100%.
well,
That's effort.
it's more a concentration. It's more focus. It's more being like, I don't care how many shots I just missed in a row, or I don't care that maybe this guy just blocked me out of bounds on national TV and the whole home crowd for them is going crazy. Like I'm getting that possession right back, and I'm coming right back down the floor, and I'm gonna stop this guy. And the next time I go get the ball, or I'm gonna dive out of bounds to save something, or I'm gonna D up a guy so hard that they're gonna get a shot clock violation. And that's what those other players I was mentioning do. And I just think Mobley's growth into that player is the biggest key, because I do think that they have that Donovan Mitchell elite player that can lead you through a playoff journey. You need one of those. That's a LeBron in his prime, a Steph Curry when he's not injured, a Kawhi Leonard when he's not injured and he's in his prime. That's a Tim Duncan through a playoff stretch. You need your other players to be Pascal Siakams and
You just
Aaron
brought up
Gordon.
LeBron. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you hate him now because he left Cleveland, right?
I hated him in Miami. I will say that. I hated him in Miami, and I rooted against him in Miami every inch of the way. And then he came back and he got us a title, and took us to 4 straight finals. And he went to LA, and
so did you. So you're like, oh, that's what we do.
Well, I didn't like that he went to LA, but I also was like, that part of the Miami was enough for me. I'm not gonna root against him. I'm not gonna root for him. I sure as heck didn't want him to go win a bunch of championships in LA, mainly because it's LA. He went to LA. But I will say I wasn't rooting against him anymore. And I was really happy that the Cavs were able to quickly rebound this time. When he was in Miami for those years, we were a graveyard. We just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then finally he came back to save that. At least this time in Cleveland, we were prepared. I think that they were much more aligned with the idea that he would leave in those short contract years. And they were much more, ready to accept that than they were the last time. And they were ready to build beyond LeBron. And look, right now, he won that bubble title, big deal. But since then, the Cavaliers have been a much better franchise than the Los Angeles Lakers in these last several years. And
I'm never rooting against LeBron. Even when he was in Miami, I was never rooting against him. He's still a hometown kid. But I do hate some of his rhetoric that he says nowadays. Like I feel like his politics feel racist, to me. It just feels that way. Like he like with Charlie Kirk when he got shot, he's like, well, when you say shit, you're going to piss people off. That's not the right response to somebody getting shot for talking.
I think, LeBron has obviously, as he's gotten older and he's lived in Los Angeles, he's injected himself more into that, he's not, I will say this about LeBron. He's not any different than really just what's going on in society from
correct. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree
Joe
with
the plumbers to the guy running for the highest office and everyone in between.
Right.
Everybody's talking. Everybody's talking. And so one thing I give LeBron a lot of credit for, and maybe his son is in the NBA because of nepotism. And if you had that much power,
maybe
that was sarcasm.
That was graceful.
That was graceful sarcasm. But also when you have that much power and you have that much influence and you get drunk on it and it doesn't feel like nepotism to you when you're putting your son in a situation like that. And then, as I said, that happens in today's day and age. That happens in between the highest office in the world and the Joe the plumber down the street. Whatever. If Joe the plumber down the street can get his idiot son a job on the crew, he's gonna get his idiot son a job.
Always does.
Right?
Always does.
So there's no difference. But I will say this in LeBron's defense of all of the things that you can criticize him for, sometimes the times of being not self-aware to do a press conference the way he did to go to Miami or whatever else he's said or done, or bringing his son onto the team and taking another roster spot, whatever it is. At the end of the day, LeBron, I applaud him for being a good man wholeheartedly. At the end of the day, he's a good father. He's a good husband. He's been loyal to the people around him in his circle.
Yes.
All of the people that he brought up from Akron, gave them jobs. He has changed lives. He has given not just the people around him that work for him. He has given family securities. He has given people, and he's been loyal for the most part through all of those things. And and it can't be easy to be a LeBron James, whether he is as good as we think he is as at the game of basketball, or even if he is as overrated as some people call him for some reason or whatever.
He's not overrated. Oh well,
I
he's just
know,
not
but people
overrated. He's
what I'm
not
saying is
overrated.
people want to put him in arguments with Jordan or what. My point is this:
Oh yeah, he's no Jordan.
through all of the crosshairs that he has to come through, he's done a really good job of being a human being.
Well, he was like that at 18 or whatever when he was doing those interviews. He was so mature and able to handle those conferences, and like he was always really good at it. It's funny because
at the end of the day, I applaud him for that.
You say that about loyalty. I got a funny story I'll tell you real quick about him. When he built his house here in Bath, Ohio, when that house was built, a friend of mine was the builder that built it. Valor Builders is who built it. Okay. His superintendent that was running the job for LeBron's house was hired by LeBron after the fact, and he was like the guy that handled any construction that went on with LeBron all over the place. He'd have to fly to Miami, LA, everything. Like that was his guy, no matter what. A guy from Grafton, Ohio. He'd just go down there and he'd take care of everything, whatever LeBron needed. That's what he did.
Yeah, and that's what the guy that gave him his favorite haircut back in the day.
Yeah,
not that he has any more hair to cut, but like those are the kind of guys. You're flying me. You're coming with me. Like Maverick Carter, the guy that he met when he was a young guy, that gave him good advice about how to handle being a high school player in the big moment. That guy's still with them, and he's making all of his decisions. And his best friends around the team that were there when these guys were, he was a rookie and he wasn't old enough to go out, and they were hanging out in the hotel room playing video games. Those guys are still in his entourage and working for him. And so all of those things, Bronny Jr., hey, he's a good kid. He's bright. These kids, his wife, his family, they're good people, and they seem to have had a really, really well-adjusted normal life for as crazy of a celebrity as he is. He's on the short list of some of the most famous people in the history of the world for what we've gone through, right? Like
and the world too.
Media. I mean, he's one of the most famous people in the history of the world, globally iconic. So I applaud him for a lot of that part of who he is. And you can criticize him and not call him Jordan. And I still think Kareem's the greatest ever. But you can say whatever. You can say he's hard to coach, he's hard to play with, or whatever it is. And maybe a lot of those things are partly true or true. But at the end of the day, LeBron's done all right for himself. I think he's helped the game of basketball over the big picture. He's helped the game of basketball, and he'll be left. His imprint will be left that no matter how many points he scores, and if he ever gets the assist record, which I don't think he'll catch that, but whatever his last stats are, he'll be known to know that he did it the right way, and he made the game of basketball better.
Maybe. He made flopping better. No,
he's like I said, you're gonna be able to criticize all.
No, I love LeBron. I'm a LeBron fan. My daughter went to live in LA years ago, and I remember when we won the championship. I said that her agreement was early in the year. She said, she wanted some pink LeBrons or something. I forget what they were exactly. She's like, if he wins, I get the pink LeBrons. I had to ship them out to her in LA for the championship win. I bet me and my daughter both, we were always huge LeBron fans. Heartbroken when he left, just the same. Sure. Ecstatic when he came back. Didn't really care after that. He got one for the team for us, and we, God bless him. Move on.
He played his ass off in those 4 years he came back, and he was we got to see LeBron be the prime LeBron. I mean, that 2016 and 2017 were the two best LeBron years that you'd ever see. No matter what jersey he would have been in, we got to see the very best LeBron James that anybody ever got to see. And he did it here in Cleveland, and he brought us a title, and it's a historic title. He beat a 73-win team down 3-1. I mean, you know,
It's
if
the
we,
shit you. That's the shit you dream about when you're a little
right.
kid.
So all the shit we had to go through as Cleveland fans, disappointed in so many of the three sports, man, the one we got, that sure was one that you can't make up, man.
Right.
And you know, the only thing that would have been better would have been maybe 3 months later winning that game 7 against the Cubs. But man, that little window that year from
I thought
June,
we were, man. I thought we
yeah,
were.
yeah,
I was
that's.
there.
And that's the
Oh,
one I really want. Like they're the love of my life. I know everybody says Cleveland is a football town, and you know, and we did have LeBron, one of the great players of all times, and bring us a championship. But man, you know, the love of my life, and I'm even though I'm wearing a Guardians hat, I still call them Indians. That's one of my jokes as well. I do a bit about why I still call them Indians. But that baseball team's the love of my life, and I just
Trump wants to bring them back as the Indians. I'm on
yeah.
board with it.
Yeah,
I
that's
like that idea. Let's
one
do
of the
it.
few things I agree with. But yeah, exactly. I just still, look that baseball team, and I don't care what they change their names to. Nothing. Changing it to Guardians isn't going to make me like them less. I mean, I like the name Indians better, but I love that baseball team, and I love that they just keep giving us thrills every year, and they do it the right way. They compete and they front office and they manage and
Do you remember going to the
spend money the way
games?
I like. They may not spend money the way I like, but the money they spend is well spent.
Do you remember going to the games when you were a little kid?
Oh God, I loved
They
old.
were so awesome. They were so. It was so empty. You could
It
go in
it
there. There was
bad.
that big ass
They were
stadium. Sit
they
wherever
were
you want.
fun bad. But
And
you know, they were fun bad. But you know, you got to go to that old stadium, and sometimes you got to come see some of the big stars of the game from other teams come in from Boston and New York, and we didn't have many stars on our team in the '80s, if any, until like maybe like Joe Carter showed up for a while. We kind of that was kind of cool, but we didn't have really any stars. But it was always fun to go down and watch them
loved it.
play. You know, I remember going to see my first game ever was a doubleheader. I saw Carl Yastrzemski play for the Boston Red Sox. I thought that was one of the coolest things. That I had all of his baseball cards, and you'd see him on like the TV when the Boston was a. But then it was like I was sitting right there. And old Carl Yastrzemski was bad, and Reggie Jackson, and just some of the great ball players that we got to see come through there. And
Plus,
that
we
team
could
was
stand out.
awesome.
Remember when you could stand outside when the players had to walk past you to get to their car?
Yeah.
That
Oh
was
yeah,
amazing. You get all the
that
signatures.
was cool.
Even like I remember like being older, like 18 or 19 before they switched. Kenny Lofton coming out, Albert Bell, Carlos Baergo, all those guys had to walk right past us.
Yeah, because
Lofton was always a
those guys
class
played
act.
at the old stadium before they were started. Like when they were young, kind of rookie ball players
Yep.
coming in, they
Yep.
still played at that old stadium. They started out at that Baerga, Lofton, Bell. They played in the old stadium. I remember seeing Joey. I remember seeing
Yeah.
him as
Joey
Joey Bell
Bell. Yeah,
at
Joey Bell.
old Cleveland
Yeah.
Stadium.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
He was
I
an
think I
asshole
have
then,
an
though.
old Joey Bell baseball card somewhere where it says Joey on it.
I have a couple. Yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was Albert or Kenny Lofton's one of my favorite. In fact, he is my favorite period player of all time. He just did. There was just a story on here locally. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. If I find it, I'll send it to you. It was a news story. He ran into a guy at a bar local. He was just doing a signing autographs or whatever, and a guy comes in with a bat. This older guy comes in with a bat, tells Kenny Lofton he's one of 3 to finish off his 95 team on this bat. Now this guy's 80 something years old. His bat's been in it.
Really? He's 80 years old.
Yeah, he's an old man. He's
Well,
not
he
moving
needs
very good.
3 signatures on the bat.
And Kenny Lofton's one of them.
Okay.
Or Hershiser is the other one, and Tony Pena is the other one.
Wow.
So Kenny Lofton says, I got you. He flies out to Vegas, then LA, gets a signature from Oral Hershiser. Then he goes to the Dominican Republic and gets Tony Pena's, records both signatures, comes back, meets him, and gives him the freaking thing.
Are you
Gives him the
kidding
bat.
me?
Kenny
my God.
Lofton. Greatest guy ever. I'm telling you.
That
I love
just
me some
makes
Kenny
my heart
Lofton.
flutter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
please
is.
send me that. Please send me that link or that story. I did not see that.
That it was just recently that it happened. It was a recent thing that just happened. He actually, the guy was sick in the hospital when they were giving the bat to his son at the game, and the guy is sick in the hospital, and Kenny Lofton went to the hospital to visit him.
Wow.
Yeah, Kenny Lofton's a great guy. Yeah, he's he's a class act. Class act, 100%.
God, and they. You know, the crazy thing is in that dynasty area, they let him and Bell leave, and
he come back.
Well, they brought him back, but what I'm saying is
But he came back. He came back on his own. He wanted to come back. Like what?
I couldn't believe that those two guys go in that window, and they still kept winning in that window, which was weird because they would just they would reload and get other guys. Manny was coming into his own as a young player, and they just had so much talent pouring out of the system at that time. But the fact that they let Bell go to the he went to Baltimore first before he went to the White Sox. And
if he wouldn't have got hurt,
they let Lofton go to the Braves, who beat us the year before.
Yeah. That was crazy.
And
he was a Golden Glove. He was Golden Glove at that time.
Oh, I mean, Golden Glove, still, even though he's not a Hall of Famer, he's still got to be considered one of the top 5 leadoff hitters of all time.
Yeah, you think he was batting like 320 or something, or 340 or something at the time? Like, what?
Yeah.
This is so annoying.
Yeah, that's a great story. I always love those teams. Those teams, Major League Baseball did a great documentary some years ago called The Dynasty That Never Was. It was about that run.
Strike year.
No, it was the dynasty that never was, is what they called the Indians from 95 to 2000. They had a special documentary on the MLB channel just covering how great those teams were and how they just fell short of winning a title. They basically were like, this team was built to win, 3 or 4 or 5, and they were good enough to, and they just never won one. So, yeah, that it was just heartbreaking. And to know that, what was really tough is when I read recently, this was our 13th division title since division play, since they realigned. So since 94, since the realignment, we've won 13 division titles in these 31 years, and we've been to the playoffs as a wild card a couple other times. So what's crazy is we don't have a World Series champion to show for it. But you know what's even sicker than that when you think about it? The Florida Marlins have 2 World Series titles, and guess what? It's the only 2 times they've even been to the postseason. They've never been to the postseason outside of the 97 and 2003 World Series seasons that they won. Every other year, they've never even gotten there, yet they have the 2 World Series. We've gotten there 15 times, I think.
It's a Cleveland thing, man. I don't know. Cleveland drives me nuts. I remember when we were in Game 7 and everything's going well, and it looks like we have it. All of a sudden, you got
it was Jose Mesa at the mound. First it was I think we brought Charles Nagy in.
Yeah, it was Nagy.
And then Mesa gave up the hit.
Yeah,
Tony Fernandez made a bad play at second or short, I believe, as well.
But Nagy was playing just fine. I that's always one of those things where you hate that they, because their stats. With baseball, that's the one thing. Like, those coaches are going to run them stats. The managers are going to run the stats because they're worried about their job.
Remember Chad OJ? He won 2 of those 3 games in that series, and then also had, I think, 3 RBIs at the plate because you'd have to bat in the National League Park.
Yep.
And Chad OJ, I think, hit a sac fly and a 2-run double, and he also won 2 starts in that 3 game out of the 3 games we won. He would have been, had we won that game, Chad OJ would have been the World Series MVP. That's what's crazy. And I was at the Nautica stage for that game. Remember where they used to play the Nautica stage? They had that. They would play they played Game 7 of the World Series on that big. It was sold out. A few thousand people up in the bleachers. Nautica stage. Place is going crazy in the 9th inning. The place, it's like
you can hear the bat crack from there too.
Yeah. The game was in Florida. Obviously, we were just watching it, but we thought we had the thing won. The 9th inning, that place was going crazy like we had already celebrated. By the time that run came across the plate for the Marlins, there was 3,000 people walking to your car. The only thing you could hear were the steps of feet. People
Yeah.
like it was so quiet. It was
And
just
the homeless guys trying to get you to buy a T-shirt.
yeah. A couple of broken bottles here and there, but that's all you could hear. You couldn't. There wasn't a voice out of 3,000. It was just the pitter patter of feet of people walking to their car, and that memory will never leave me. That walking out like that after that was the most disheartening thing I've ever experienced in Cleveland sports. Was because we were there. We were already jumping around, dude, high-fiving people you didn't know. Fuck yeah. And then.
Yeah, that's how the Cubs game was, too. We were thinking it was a done deal, too. I was down there for that. It was nice down there.
3-1 on that series, which was
Yeah.
that's hard. And, I'll tell you, the World Series we actually should have won, the one we should have really
the
won.
Mariners. Yeah.
No. The one we
Marlins,
should have won is the one we never even got to, which was 2000.
The strike year.
No,
Oh,
2007. We were up 3-1 on the Red Sox. We had
Oh, yeah.
Sabathia and Fausto Carmona going in the next 2 games. That's the year Fausto Carmona went like 19-3. We were up 3-1 on the Red Sox. We had the Cy Young Award winner and Fausto Carmona, who finished like 3rd or 4th in the Cy Young voting, going in the next 2 games. We had 3 games to win. In the 3 elimination games, we had 2 of the best pitchers in the American League, and we lost 3 straight to the Red Sox. And then the Red Sox went and swept the Rockies. The Rockies in 4 in the World Series. And we would have beat the Rockies maybe in 5, even if it took 5.
I still think it's the strike year. I still think the strike year was the year we were unstoppable. That was when we had Albert Bell and all. I just feel like there was nobody able to beat us at that time. I just don't think
the White Sox had actually. I think the White Sox were tough that year. That's before
they were tough, but we were just. I mean, we had El Presidente. We were like, I don't know. I just don't think anybody would have beat us that year.
Yeah, we didn't add Hershiser yet, though.
No, we didn't have
our
Hershiser.
pitching was maybe a little lax that year. I think, man, we could have, but
we had huge bats, though. I mean, we had unstoppable bats. Our lineup was retarded back then.
But we didn't add. But the thing that got us over the hump was adding Hershiser and adding Eddie Murray. Eddie Murray that year he came in '95 was huge. He hit like .333, and was just an everyday DH and could go over and play first base a little bit when that's when Paul Sorrento was at first back in the day.
Paul Sorrento. The surprise guys. I still have that magazine. I went to a game and they had the surprise guy, Wayne Gerby, Alvaro Espinoza, and Paul Sorrento, the surprise guys they called him.
Yeah. Sorrento was like, I think he was like the number 8 hitter and hit like 28 home runs as the 8 hitter on that team.
They felt like they were unstoppable anyways. It was crazy.
That team was crazy.
Yeah, they were the good old days. Yeah, I'm a baseball fan too. Basketball second, and football is really my third love. But that's the one I've ever played was football. I was a football player. I loved playing football. I wasn't much of it. I still love baseball and basketball. I think I had a special love for basketball and baseball because it's something that I wasn't as good at. Football I was always just good at. I can be aggressive and act and you know what I mean, but basketball and baseball took a little more skill than I had.
I loved baseball. I stunk at baseball. Like I tried when I was a kid. I just couldn't get the timing down at the plate. I was a decent glove. I was a good enough athlete to be like, hey, I could glove, I could catch, I could throw. But I loved baseball, and I always it irked me that I couldn't be good at baseball. So obviously after like the little league years, 14 years old, I stopped playing baseball because there was no way I wouldn't even have made the teams at Lorain Catholic. We had really good baseball too. I wouldn't even have made the teams at Lorain Catholic, so I didn't even bother. Football I was pretty good at, but Lorain Catholic was not known for football. We were not a good football program. So by the time I got to high school, obviously I just made sure I used my falls to work out for basketball, play open gyms, and get ready for the basketball season. But I was the scorekeeper for our baseball team.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because our baseball coach, who obviously, I grew up knowing my whole life, Coach McCall, he knew I was the only kid in the school that knew how to legitimately score a baseball game. I could look and say, that's an E5, that's not a single, and this is an
Right.
unearned run. So he allowed me. So actually, my sophomore year is a kind of, I'm a Lorain Sports Hall of Famer by proxy, because my sophomore year, our baseball team lost in the state final, so they were inducted into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame several years ago. And I was credited as the official scorekeeper of the team. So
That's
I ended up
cool.
getting a plaque. Yeah, I was the nerdy scorekeeper. So I had,
You're like Rudy of Lorain Catholic.
yeah. So I'm in the history books
There you
for that
go.
baseball team, and I didn't even play on the team, but I'm friends with all those guys that got inducted as members of the team. They were a great ball club, but yeah. So I've been to 4 Major League All-Star games in my life. I went to the one in Cleveland, Boston, Denver, and Atlanta, and went and I have the programs for every book. I kept score, the official score in the programs. So I have cool in my like history ledgers up there. I have the
Has that something you always do? Do you always keep a ledger when you go in, or no?
No. I did for
Just
those
those
games
ones.
because they
Just
were
those ones.
special, and the
Yeah.
program is really extensive. It's like a $20 program, and it's got the score, and then that's a harder one to keep score because there's so many substitutions. In an all-star game, they're just
Yeah.
everybody plays almost. So you gotta draw little brackets underneath the one guy who replaced the other guy. But it's really fun. I've got all the scorebooks still. Someday I'll leave it to somebody, some historical society of some sort.
You got any kids?
No kids. I got married late in life. We're just celebrated 6 years a couple weeks ago, my wife and I, and met her out here 11 years ago doing stand up. Stand up. Like I said, back to the sacrificing. There's a lot of just normalcies I had to sacrifice in life. Had I stuck around, Lorain or the Cleveland area, and maybe did some other things, I probably would have met someone and started that family. And then, but obviously my life took a different course, and uh just
Were
as
you ugly when you were younger?
oh no, God, no.
You were
Oh
good
man.
looking. Oh, I was just curious. I was
Oh,
just
that
wondering.
was the other thing. Let me tell you something. I joke with my wife. I joke with my wife. Back in the day, there's probably a dozen girls, if I would have asked them to marry me, would have said yes. I just avoided that. But I had a lot of fun when I was young, and that's okay too. And no one hurt along the way, other than maybe a few feelings of jealousy. But
I kid.
yeah,
I said something one time about somebody I know who's pretty successful, but he didn't get married to late in life. He was an ugly, goofy kid. Like, so nobody was ever keeping him around. You know what I mean? He could go work and
yeah.
travel, and I make a joke about it. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, no. Luckily, I didn't struggle in that department. As a younger guy, I was luckily, popular with girls, and so maybe a little too popular, which is a reason why I was harder to tie down. But yeah, no, my wife, she's great. She's from Chicago area. Originally, and like I said, she saw me perform at a club about 11 years ago in San Diego. I was living in LA at the time, and then we just kind of kept getting closer and closer. And as time went on, we did the long distance thing for a while, and then eventually, I knew I wanted to be with her in the long haul. So moved down here, asked her to marry me. We got married in September 2019. We just celebrated 6 years, and yeah, I don't think we maybe kind of batted around the idea of kids, but I think now, with as crazy as the world has gotten post COVID and all the things, we'll just kind of, you know,
Pass on that one. Solid
yeah,
pass.
I think just traveling and living the life that she owns her own business. I do what I do. We kind of go do that when we have to. And then life brings us back together for the times we get to spend. And we try to travel as much as we can. We went to Africa last year and been to Europe a few times since the pandemic. And we've got some other travel plans in the future. So we're just going to put our heads down and work hard at what we love to do, and then kind of meet in the middle and go travel when it presents itself. and just enjoy our little life here in San Diego. We live pretty close to the ocean, and we do a lot of the things that the nature and the place around here provides us. And she's a surfer. I don't surf. I go watch, but she loves to surf. But we do a lot of just hiking and a lot of the just spending time with all the great things that we have at our disposal. And like I said, traveling.
How's the LA comedy scene?
It's fine. The San Diego comedy scene's great. LA is it's a bigger tank, right? So when I lived in LA for many years, although I was respected by my peers, comedians alike, even guys that are household names, that's a tough tank to swim in, and because it's a huge tank of big fish, and so a lot of times it's harder to get stage time if you're not a famous person in LA. So you've got to really work hard at getting yourself onto shows and trying to sell yourself to the club bookers and stuff that may not.
That didn't get any better after they took a bunch of that to Austin?
No, I think if anything, the scene has kind of just diminished along with things. San Diego, the scene has popped up locally with clubs. So if you live here and you've got some experience, you can get a lot of stage time. But I think, New York will always be the top. No matter what went on in Austin, no matter that there was a migration to Austin, Austin will still be just a very, it's not going to get any bigger than it got. It was just hyper growth immediately, hit that ceiling. That ceiling is filled. LA is kind of not what it was before COVID, but maybe regaining a little bit more of its strength at a slower growth than it probably you would assume. But New York will always be the place where it flourishes and always will flourish no matter what the temperature is of the industry or where it's going, or if there's a shutdown or a recovery, or if there's a good mayor or bad mayor or lots of crime or no crime. What I'm saying is New York will always be, they just will always be the kind of.
The only thing that is certain is that everything changes.
Well,
Eventually, it'll change someday.
No, New York has always held its ground. It always will. I just was there again, and it will always be the place,
the Mecca
that dominates stand-up comedy. It just always will be. It's just the best scene, the best clubs, the best gauge of what is being kind of said, and I stand by that. I've been around this game for a while, and I've seen it all. And in New York is just it's the top tier.
That's it, huh? So when I come Sunday, the 19th to Hilarities, what can I expect?
Well, you're gonna expect some storytelling. I got a nice big chunk of material about our trip to Africa, which is doing really well on stage, that I've been developing for a while. And another great bit that I've got that I think you're gonna love. It's actually about LeBron James and being an old Cavs fan, and that's kind of a couple of real true stories with a lot of details to it that I've been able to turn into some really, really great bits that I really love. And, it's just kind of some observational stuff of Cleveland and that sports scene a little bit, and what we all kind of have gone through. And then, a little bit about what's going on in my life, and, all of those observations. I'll probably do that end racism bit to a full degree that I told you about, and some of the stories about what I make funny between the life of my wife and I, and my family and I, and the people I think that can relate to all of that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to come back. It's been a year and a half since I headlined there. Last time I headlined there was back in April of 23. So
I think the next time you come to town, if you get a hold of me ahead of time, I'll try and get a party bus down the street. There's a safe and reliable limo. We'll try and get a bunch of us to just come out.
I, yeah, I think they're doing something. You
The
might want to.
Croatian club, I think, is
Yeah. So
setting something up like that. Yeah.
yeah. So talk to Tommy about the Croatia club, and maybe the next time we do something. The next time I do something, I'm hoping to do it in Lorain.
Oh, that'd
Actually.
be
So,
awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I know that I don't want to let the cat out of the bag or speak out of turn, but someone is creating a new live venue space in Lorain, and so hopefully that's done by sometime next year, and we can put a date together, whether it's either a year from now or something early in 2020. Seven, whatever it is, to come back and headline Lorain and hopefully have a whole new hour of material by that time. And yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, Lorraine, you could tell all kinds of jokes talking.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
I
you
could
got
just,
so many more inside jokes.
yeah. Oh, of
When
course. And so,
even
and I
in
would love to
Cleveland,
be
really.
able to, would love to just be able to, that's my town. It's always going to be my town, even though, it isn't the one as we spoke of my childhood. And my parents are out in Avon now, and no real house to go visit anymore in Lorain like I used to my whole life until about 5 years ago. But it's always going to be my home. The people, still my best friends in life are all from the people I grew up with. And no
Did you
matter
see
how,
that John Baumgarten's movie is
I
coming
haven't
out?
seen that yet,
It
but
comes out Tuesday. You can buy it on Vudu and all that.
yeah, I'm gonna
It's
check it
cool. It's
out.
got all our, you see Lorraine. It's
Yeah,
cool. That's
I
cool.
heard. Did you go to the screening at the
I
Palace?
I did not.
Okay, yeah, I
I
heard a lot
got
of
in
people
late.
that
Yeah, I
rave
got in
reviews.
late.
Yeah, I would have liked to have been in town. I sent him a nice note, just congratulating him, and he's around our age as well from back
Yep.
in. He's a Lorain High guy, so I didn't know him in high school very well, other than who he was, but knew a lot of the same people. And then as you get older in life, and you meet you run into the people and get to know them a little bit. So, yeah, what a great. And another guy, right? Like in the same vein as kind of what I'm doing, and just out there doing what he loves. And he may not be Steven Spielberg in people's eyes,
Bro.
or I may
Bro.
not be Matt Rife in people's eyes, but the point is that successful nonetheless, doing what they do, putting out great content, storytelling, being just driven to put out the best art you can. So man,
That John though, I'm gonna tell you what, that movie, in my opinion, I'm not now. I'm just that, and I like movies. I watch a lot of movies. I didn't have a high expectation going into it. That's for sure. I mean, it's an indie film, local boy. I just wanted to see it.
sure.
And once I watched it, which he sent me a link because he was coming on the
Okay.
podcast, so he sent me a
Right.
link so I could watch it ahead of time. If you put M. Night Shyamalan or Steven Spielberg's name on that, nobody
Right.
would know the difference, dude.
Exactly right.
He killed it. I mean, the quality of what he put out was no joke. Like, he's got the legs. I swear to God, he does. It was quality stuff.
Well,
I was
that's what
so
my point
impressed.
is. That's why I put in quotes, like, and yeah, absolutely. And that doesn't surprise me, and that's why I'm excited to be able to check it out when I get a chance, because I know how talented he is. I've seen some videos of different projects he's worked on in the past when because he lived in LA for a long time, around the time I lived in LA at certain points. But there's no doubt. And it goes back to, like, sometimes I'll feel like I'll get off stage at a place and people will be like, dude, you're one of the funniest guys. How have I never heard of you? How have you not been on it? And thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you went away thinking that. And sometimes
I
I feel
feel
like, hey man, if somebody else told this joke or wrote this joke, that would be the clip that they would put when their special was coming out, or whatever. But and in the same respect as John, right? Like, if somebody else's name was on that film, like, just like you said, he would be a household name. But it ain't always about, like I said, when you dive into the work and you love to do it. And John could probably even say this if he didn't already on your podcast. It's like, when you get you get the respect of your peers, when you get the audiences, and the people in your industry tell you that was funny, man. That was really good. Or that was great, man. What a great bit. Or three comics come up to you that were just in the back of the room checking out the show. They come to you after, dude, that bit about this was so good. That's, those are the awards in life. Like those are
Yeah,
the
yeah,
real,
absolutely.
those
Yeah.
are the awards, bro. Those are, yeah, you can't hold them and somebody else voted on it, but like that's what feels good. I'm sure he would tell you the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, he loves what he's doing. You could clearly tell that. But I was shocked though. I mean, I still can't say it. I said it a lot when I did the podcast with him, but I was absolutely shocked at how great it was. So
Yeah, I can't wait to check it out. So
yeah,
comes out
tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow you can order it on Vudu or Amazon Prime. It's available to rent or buy. So it's Beneath the Light. It's called.
Yeah, Beneath the Light. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
it's
a great turnout at the Palace, too, man. I saw the photos. What an amazing turnout, and people just raved about it. So I'm really excited about checking it out.
Yeah, it was a great. It really was. I was impressed. So I can't say it enough. And I hopefully that's what happens when I go to Hilarities.
Yeah,
On
I hope so,
October
too.
19th.
October 19th, 7 p.m. Come on down. You can go to hilarities.com if you're watching this. You check it out. You can go to hilarities.com. And the cool thing is when you go to their website, if you want to buy tickets to their website, a lot of people don't read this when I put it on promos or posts or whatever, but it's always been there since I've been headlining. If you go there and you buy one of the tickets and it says whatever, there's a premium seating and a general admission. When you go to buy those, let's say you add 3 to your cart or 4 to your cart, right before you check out, they ask for a promo code. If you type the word Lorain in all caps in that promo code, it discounts the tickets by, I think, $5 a ticket. So
Wow, Lorraine,
yeah,
look at that. And you're talking 20% savings. That's huge.
yeah, so $5 on every ticket. If you buy 4 tickets, you're saving $20 on the total. What do you call transaction or whatever it is, 4 or 5
Yeah.
tickets. Yeah, so it's Lorain in all caps right in that promo because right when you check out, it'll ask you how many tickets. It'll ask for your credit card number, and then right before it says, agree. Do you want to? It'll come up to a promo code before it even takes the last click.
Yeah, I just did it, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm like, I got no promo code, damn it. But I paid
you
it.
gotta
I
look.
paid the whole thing. It's too late. I already did it now.
Well, that's
Now
all
I
right.
did it already. But it's not too late for everyone else. Punch in Lorraine, guys. Come on.
Hey, you still got a good strong week of that promo code. So, but yeah, man, it's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. I know that there'll be a lot of fun people in the crowd, and I'm glad you're coming, man. It means a lot. I really appreciate it. I got to make a point. Maybe Friday you're going to be at the bar. Do you spend a lot of time at the bar working?
I do, yeah, more than my wife likes.
Will you be in there Friday if I swung through for a belt?
Absolutely, yeah, I'll be here.
So
Absolutely.
I'll give you a text off. But we'll plan on maybe coming by and around that happy hour time or something and having a
All
drink.
right.
And caught up,
Sounds
man.
good. I love it.
We can take like a selfie something. You can replace me with Baker Mayfield on the wall if you want.
Well, my wife is making me now. She wants me. It just started. John Baumgarten is the first one, and I have some with the other guys. But she wants me taking photos with everybody when they come in, and she wants to frame them and put them up as they come in. All the guests when they come in.
So we've got a drink and a photo appointment on Friday. How's that?
All right, it sounds good. Your first drink's on me.
It sounds good. Second one's on me.
All right.
Third one's on you. Fourth one's on you. Fifth one's on Uber's on you too. No,
Uber don't let me use them no more. I got to use Lyft only.
Oh, is that right?
Uber, because I own a bar, it won't allow me to use it. It's like, no, and I'm like, but this is out of my personal bank account. I don't know what happened. It's weird, but
weird.
They don't do, you don't get a lot of Uber around here anymore.
I'm sure you don't. No,
you get the Lyft and stuff, but most of those Uber drivers want to do DoorDash and Uber Eats. They don't want to do the actual driving people around.
Have the people in their car.
Right.
Right.
And then shit goes wrong and they get free food. Almost everyone I know that DoorDashes ends up getting free food.
When I lived in LA, my roommate, who's actually an actor, Colombian dude, great guy. He lives in Spain now. During COVID, he went to Spain. But when I lived in LA for 7, 8 years, I lived with that guy. He was great. And but we all had side hustles. He was auditioning to be an actor. I was gigging. And he used to do right when like the Uber Eats started. I think that was called something else. First big one. Got a
Well, there's
motorcycle.
Grubhub, Uber Eats,
Grubhub.
and DoorDash. Yeah, I
Grubhub.
opened a window. I was getting hot, so I opened a
Oh, I
window,
got
so
you.
it's coming through.
Grubhub was the first one I think he worked. But yeah, dude, he used to bring home. So I would like come home from something or whatever, and he was Grubhubbing all day. This is at the ground floor of like Grubhubbing back in like 2010, 11, or whatever these things came out, 12. And dude, I'm like, what is like, where's all this food? He's like, oh yeah, man, there was like 3 cancellations or whatever, and then one time I didn't even make it to the guy. Then he had to leave where he was at to try to have lunch because traffic was so bad. We had like 6 different like Wendy. We had 6 different restaurants on our kitchen table. He's like, hey, I have whatever you want. I was like, what? We
Yeah,
must
so
have
they love it. They love it.
$200 worth of food sitting there.
Yeah, my uncle's been doing it. He was a carpenter, and he's like has had back problems and stuff. So to cover his mortgage and stuff, he's just doing DoorDash, and he's like, I don't even have to grocery shop. He goes at least once a day. Something goes wrong, and I get some free food.
I would imagine at least once a day.
Yeah, that's what he said. At least once a day, I get free food, and I'm good.
That's great. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, that more people are getting that. That now the DoorDash. I mean, it's just you see them. We live in like a townhouse community here. Like townhouses, a couple different buildings in the complex on the grounds, and that's all. Like if I'm home for a stretch of a couple days, and all I see all day long is just they're just
Yeah.
going all different. Like they're just. I'm like
I fought it forever. I wasn't going to do it at my restaurant, but I fought it for so long, and finally I had to give in. I had to do it. I mean, it's just like that's
well,
what
yeah,
people.
you're losing. I mean, I know you have to pay a something off of it, but you're losing sales if you don't, right?
Well, and now they allow you to add to it. So it used to be like if I was $10 in store, I had to be $10 on Grubhub or Uber Eats, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Because really my kitchen is to feed patrons at the bar. It's not like it's a full blown. So I wouldn't do it. But then they came out with now they'll allow you to bump it up the fees for your price. So
To
I go,
cover
well,
their fees,
Yeah.
the fees being basically covered by the
Right.
customer, so you can make your money out the door.
right. So that's
Got
why I've been doing it. And I don't go all of the fees, but I do a little bit of the fees. So
Sure.
I mean, I do kind of split it a little bit and try and be as fair as I can with it. But so yeah, I do it, and I think that's why I would like to put an addition and be able to do shows and stuff here, because I think the days of like socializing in a bar are disappearing. I think that people like to smoke weed, play video games, and they socialize when they're online on their video games and stuff.
You're right. And the one thing, like, that's what I do love about the other thing I love about stand up is, I came up working through the jackalope and being, a guy our age growing up, like, that was the best. Like,
Oh yeah, it was
bars were the
amazing.
thing you did and you hung out, and those were great social circles, and there weren't cell phones out. Everybody was doing this or taking the selfie or taking video. Like, you could just feel like you were in your own, basement.
There's no proof of any of it.
There's no proof of any of that stuff. And those were great days, and so those days are gone. So the one thing I really love through seeing that, because it is sad and disappointing that like those types of energies don't exist like they did in commonplace. It's very few and far between. There's still some of those bars that can pull that energy consistently, like so many others did. But comedy has an energy to what it really hasn't changed. You're still coming into a dark kind of club.
Right.
It's still what it was in the 80s, even though it's different. The club's newer, and maybe they have a screen while you're seating and showing you upcoming acts, and maybe you can order your menu. You can get your menu through a barcode on your phone. Those little
Right.
things have changed. But when the lights go out and the light, or the house lights go down and the spotlight comes on, the performer comes up, everybody pretty much in every club, everywhere you go, it's what it always has been. And that's really exciting too about being a comedian and a live performer is through all the changes, and even when I was saying there's social media to put out your content, there's nothing like that live show to me. Why I love it so much is like what my dad's basketball games were when I was a kid. Those exciting Friday nights, the smell of the popcorn at the concession stand, the live crowd not knowing what they're going to see, knowing what to expect. A basketball game between two good basketball schools, knowing what to expect, but not really knowing what they're going to see. It's still live. Anything can happen. Anything can unravel. Anything can go this way or that way. And so there's still that thrill for me. It's like being a kid that's, wasn't good enough to play pro sports, which I would have loved to. Like I would have loved to be able to walk out of the dugout and cross the line as the crowd was going crazy, or I would have liked to been able to been in that starting lineup when the spotlights are all over the Cavs floor. But this is that to me. I still get to have those little moments, even in the other night we had a great crowd, a little small club in Vegas, maybe 300 seats or whatever. Not small, but 300 seats, mostly full. And as the show started and the lights go down and the music turns up, you're like, man, it's game time. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to see you on the 19th for sure. I'll see you Friday ahead of time, you're saying?
I'll see you on the 17th. I'll give you a text, and I'll just see you like around that happy hour time. Expect me around there, and I'll be a little more specific as the day gets closer. I fly in Thursday, and so Friday I've got some time on my hands to go around and see some other friends and do some other stuff. And now that we're friends, I'll swing in and get to meet you. And then Saturday I just do a nice corporate fundraiser gig out in Sandusky, and then Sunday the show. It's going to be great.
Nice, awesome, I love it. All right, we'll see you Friday then, and everybody else go see him on the 19th at Hilarities.
Hilarities.com. All you got to do is Hilarities.com, and like I said, the promo code Lorain. It was a lot of fun, Jimmy. So thanks for having me, and look forward to meeting you over at the bar, and hopefully we'll see some of these faces. And if you're coming out to the show on Sunday because you saw me on this, come up after. After the show, I'm always willing to say hi to anybody and take pictures when you come by, and let me know you saw me on here, and that'd be really cool because, like I said, I can't wait to get back there because as a little kid, I spent so much time in that bar, and I haven't been there since.
It's the same bar is sitting there. It's the same bar. It's different, but the bar is the same.
I want to see that so bad because I can just see it now. I can see those nights, and like I said, I probably haven't been there since one of my dad's last years of coaching, and we used to still go in there because it was still the gin mill. He coached
up until 14.
Yeah, right. So he coached until 2000, a little after, and we would still go do that. And so I probably haven't been there since one of my dad's last years as a coach. Even though I was an adult by then, I had been going there since the late 70s and mid 70s. Yeah.
That's awesome. Everybody, Jason Lawhead, I really appreciate you coming on. That was awesome.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me and reaching out. And congratulations and good luck. I love the idea that the fact that, hey, I wanted to do a podcast. I want to do it out of the bar. I want to promote Lorain and things about Lorain and everything in that area. I have a fondness for that, man. So I appreciate the fact that you have a fondness for that and an energy for that, and being able to express it and have people like me on, and guys like John and other people that have something maybe interesting to share or tell or find out about. And you told me, I love getting to know things like I didn't know. You telling me about that Kenny Lofton thing, like, dude, I'm gonna go dig that. My wife will be like, "What are you still looking at?" I'm like, I'm looking at the Kenny Lofton story. So, like, we're gonna have that. Like, you're gonna have created an argument in my house because I'm gonna go so far down the rabbit hole on this. So, I appreciate you sharing that with me. I get to learn.
All right, that's awesome, and I'll send it to you as soon as we get off air.
Please do.
And I'm not sure how this ends exactly. This is the first time I went live with Riverside. And it was cool because it broadcasted it out to YouTube. It put it on Facebook and it put it on Twitter all at the same time. So that was kind of neat. So I'm not sure how that's gonna, but I'm gonna hit the stop button. We'll see where it goes. I don't know.
All right. Sounds
We
good.
might
Hey,
be
man,
standing there staring at each other. Who knows?
It was great. Yeah, maybe we'll be frozen on YouTube in time for history. Who knows from this point on? But
There it goes.
fun nonetheless.
All right. We're out.